Hollywood, The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson. This is Doc Severinsen along with Tommy Newsom and the NBC Orchestra, inviting you to join Johnny and his guests, Buddy Hackett, Dick Van Patten, Kelly Garrett, and Doctor Lendon Smith. And now, here's Johnny.
Good evening. Or should I say, there. Like Father Tums. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching today and to everybody here. We have a little less audience than we normally have because people, I guess, are... Why didn't we serve dinner today? What, free? No, they do have a special Thanksgiving Day special at the commissary. It's closed. So that's good. I was about to do the monologue, but I see you already have a belly full. How many of you had Thanksgiving dinner already? How many have it later in the day, like later tonight? Oh, I can see you guys later today. This is the Tonight Show, the network schedule that goes over the fence last. See, we're late in the day. Would you like some Tums? Did you have turkey?
I haven't had it yet, but I'm ready to jump in there.
Yeah, you see, I come from the Midwest, and I remember going out when they would chop off the turkey's head with a chopping block.
Right.
They don't do that anymore. You see, they're very modernized nowadays. They no longer kill turkeys with an axe. What they do about a month before a Thanksgiving, they put them on a liquid protein diet. And if you're wondering where Ed is, did you see the Thanksgiving Day parade from New York this morning? Ed is back there. He was the host of that. That's a beautiful parade back there.
Yes, it is.
So Doc moves over here, and filling in for Doc is Mr. Thunderbolt, Mr. Tommy Newsom. And I checked with Tom today. We were all tracing our ancestors back because people want to see if they had any people who were pilgrims. And Tommy traced his ancestors back to Plymouth, Massachusetts. Well, you know this or not, but Tommy's great-grandfather was Plymouth Rock. To give you an idea. It's always interesting to see what important people do on Thanksgiving. Now, the Carter family, President Carter's family, are celebrating Thanksgiving at Camp David. That's the presidential retreat. And they're going to be there for the traditional Thanksgiving Day feast. And what that means is that the president will reflect on the past year and then pray anyway. That's what he's going to do up there. I wish I had something to be thankful for right now. See, the Carter family dinner is not going to be the same as it has been in the past because Billy Carter refused to show up unless he got his regular fee. When I get to one that you like, just yell something out. This was kind of nice. I think women will appreciate this. Vice President Mondale said that every Thanksgiving, he lets Mrs. Mondale stay in bed. He gets up and prepares the turkey dinner. Now, that's kind of nice for the Vice President. Yes, okay. That's kind of a nice scene, the Vice President stuffing a turkey. Well, when you think about it, I mean, for the first time since he's come to Washington, it's the first important thing he's had his hand in. Well, why not? Now, this item I'm going to tell you about was in the paper, so you don't think I'm making it up. You couldn't make this up. It's a little rustic community of Idlewild, Michigan. Perhaps some of you read this in the paper. The deer season opened there, and they have a rather unusual problem. The game warden, well, what happened? How can I phrase this so I don't want to offend you? A lot of prostitutes showed up in this little town because of deer season, and they know all the guys are out in the woods. And the game warden has arrested 18 prostitutes in the past week. Well, I mean, that's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, The guys are out looking for game or a girl who's game. One of the two. But it's true. One of the girls left early. She'd already had her limit, I understand, and so she got to stay. The way, the wives got suspicious because one of the hunters came back. I had a bleached blonde strapped to the fender of his car. And anyway, we got a good show tonight. Good show. And later on, as a surprise, I don't think Doc announced this, but Ohio State football coach Woody Hayes will come out here and tell Julia Childs what she can do with her leftovers. We have Mr. Buddy Hackett is with us tonight. Yes. A very fine actor in one of the most successful television shows right now, Eight Is Not Enough. Dick Van Patten is here. Miss Kelly Garrett and Doctor Lendon Smith, baby doctor. Yes, we'll be here for it. We'll be back. We'll be right back after this.
This can't be coffee 'cause it tastes so smooth. They took the bitter taste out.
This can't be coffee 'cause it tastes so smooth. How'd they take the bitter taste out?
New Mellow Roast starts with 3 kinds of rich, robust coffees, then blends in roasted grain to take away the bitter edge, so you enjoy a delicious, full-flavored coffee taste.
This can't be coffee 'cause it tastes so smooth.
Mellow Roast coffee and grain beverage.
How'd they take the bitter taste out?
Listen, my friends, here's Taste. A great tasting cereal with a crispy crunch called CW Post. Sure, everybody likes it, even the kids. Pardon me, son, that's mine. It's got taste that'll grab you right off of the spoon. It's vitamin fortified, natural too. Oats, rice, honey, and more with a crunch that's crispy light.
CW Post!
Here's Taste. Great tasting cereal with a crispy crunch called
CW Post!
Family-style cereal. Pardon me, son, that's mine.
Happy Thanksgiving, Doctor.
Same to you, Chief.
Yeah. You eat later tonight because
Yes.
we're working
Did
today.
you have your turkey yet?
Not yet.
No,
You got to do that, I guess.
Well, I can't imagine coming to work after eating a large meal. And that's what I'm going to do.
This
Really
guy,
don't
I've said this before. Now, you're not particularly heavy, right? You
No.
weigh about what?
About 155, 160.
Between him and Louis Belson, the drummer.
Who's
Have you
about the
have you
same
ever,
size.
who's slender. Have you ever seen these two guys eat? It's incredible. I don't understand how
Well,
you do it.
I've
you
seen,
can sit down.
No, and this is a fact. I've seen Louis Belson sit down and eat 5 pounds of steak plus all the trimmings. And he weighs about 145 pounds.
And you never put it on, do you?
No, never do. But today we're having lasagna with our...
I think the Pilgrims started that, didn't they? Oh, what a nice traditional Thanksgiving Day dinner. Lasagna and turkey. No sense at all. Anyway, I want to mention Tommy Newsom is going to be appearing, coming up here in the Century Plaza Hotel, November the 29th, which would be what?
Tuesday.
That is Tuesday, and he's going to be
Coming
appearing with Father Tom Vaughn's trio at the Hong Kong Bar, which is a nice showroom at the Century Plaza Hotel, starting Tuesday the 29th for 5 days. Thomas?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to come in and see you.
Goodness. Well, I'll tell the father not to take a collection that day.
Is this an actual a priest?
Yeah, man of the cloth. He forgives us after we play.
That's funny. Now I'm going to come in and catch that.
There have been several Catholic priests who were musicians.
I
musicians.
remember a few years ago, we had a fellow played the piano. I can't think of his name.
I think it's the same gentleman.
Was that
Father
Tom Vaughan?
Tom Vaughan, yes.
Well, then that was the same cat.
Well,
Excuse me, Father, same priest. Well, you call a priest as a musician a cat, too, can't you?
Absolutely.
So they will be there starting Tuesday. Will you hold me a table if I come in, if I let you know? Because I know it'll be crowded.
Well, I mix, so I'll come over.
You mix with the
Yeah,
crowd.
if you're at the bar, I'll be over.
Okay, now that it's Thanksgiving, we got some letters from some school teachers here. And they send them to us from time to time, and children are wonderful. This is from a Carol Tumey, Toomey, I believe it is, kindergarten teacher in East Hampton, Massachusetts. And their project was to ask each of the children how to cook a turkey. That was all she told them. That was their assignment. At the same time, we got a letter from Mrs. Theresa Butler. She says, I'm closing our recipes compiled by Mrs. Elaine Hamilton, director of the Honey Pot, a kindergarten here in Pascagoula, Mississippi. And they also asked the children how they would prepare Thanksgiving dinner, turkey and pumpkin pie, and that's all they told them. Now, kids are wonderful. You could not make these up. And how they arrive at some of their answers, I don't know. Here's what Robert said. First, somebody kills the turkey with a gun. Then they package it. Then they put it in the store for people to buy. Unwrap the turkey, put it in a pan. Put a thermometer clock on it. Put this in the oven for about 10 minutes. Take it out, cool it, eat it with gravy. No, Jennifer's, go to the store and buy a turkey, cook it in the oven until 5 o'clock. Didn't say when she put it in, whether 4 in the morning or eat it till 5 o'clock, because probably at her house, that's when it ends. Scott D. says, first you soak it in cold water, then I don't know what you do with it. See, I like kids. They don't fake it. Remember in school, if you didn't know, you'd make up something? Yeah. But these kids are young enough, they admit it. They don't know. Tim says, go to a turkey shoot a turkey, bring him home, take the feathers off, cook him on the stove for a couple of whiles.
A couple of whiles?
Now, isn't that wonderful? A couple of whiles. You know, for a little while, he says a couple of whiles. Then eat him. Scott A. says, I don't know. I have to go home and ask my mother. Becky says, put stuffing in it, salt and pepper, put him in the oven, cover it with foil, cook it for 10 minutes. I like the meat best. No bones or feathers for this kid. Stephen says, put something on it first. That's all. Put something on it. Then bake it in the oven. I think you cook it for 4 minutes. Robin says, the store man shoots a turkey. They have everybody shooting turkeys. Then they put it in the stove. Mommy buys it. She puts it in the warm water for 10 minutes, then takes it out and cooks it in the oven for 20 minutes. Jeff says, put stuff inside the turkey. Then put the turkey in a big pot, put the pot in the oven, cook for 100 hours. He's making up for all the other kids for the 4 minutes. Kevin says, first you have to catch the turkey, kill him with a knife, take the feathers off. Put him on the stove with gravy on top. Cook him for 10 minutes. I like the leg best of all. Scott says, get the turkey at a barn. Kill it by bringing it to a factory. They cut the head off. Bring it home, take the feathers out. Now cut it in half. Then cook it in the stove for a couple of minutes. Matthew, first wash the turkey out. Then put it in the oven. When it is done, Daddy cuts it so we can eat it. As Daddy cuts it, my brother Danny says the wings are moving. Chris Hackler. Here's a 5-year-old. Take a turkey, cut off his head, cut his feet off, get the feathers off, put a cup of potatoes in it, and cook 1 minute in the oven. Here's a 4-year-old now. Take a turkey, fry it. Cut it with a knife. I think it'll be ready. He doesn't even say kill it. Just take it. Christian says the store will shoot a turkey and the baker man bakes it. Eat it on Thanksgiving Day. And here's a recipe for pumpkin pie by Chris Butler. And he put pumpkin, sugar, eggs, milk. I guess that's what goes in pumpkin pie, right? Directions, mix it in the pumpkin. Take it out of the oven for 10 minutes. Put it in the oven for 10 minutes. Take it out of the oven and feed it to the dog. Well, that's thanks. Kids don't fool around. So thank you, ladies, for sending those. Kids are wonderful. With their imagination, they just tell it as it is. They don't make it up. We have Mr. Buddy Hackett with us tonight, Dick Van Patten, wonderful singer Kelly Garrett, and Doctor Lendon Smith, a well-known pediatrician, will be with us. First, we are going to do this. After a message from Sears, the men's store.
Just when you're looking for a good slack buy, Sears appears with their best flare knits at a $5 savings. Regularly $16, now just $10.99. The stretch band roll waist and Travera polyester double knit let you feel comfortable. The colors and patterns let you feel fashionable. The $10.99 price lets you feel very clever. You save $5. Whenever you're looking for a great fashion buy, Sears appears. Sale ends December 3rd.
Sears announces a whole kitchen caravan of values, super savings on all this and more, like Sears 10-cup coffee maker, an outstanding value at $15.97. Save $3 on this 2-piece 4-quart crockery cooker, now $16.99. Save $80 on Sears best built-in and portable dishwashers with a heavy-duty wash system. Save $15 on this Sears garbage disposer, now only $49.95. All aboard for the Sears Kitchen Caravan Sale.
Thank you, Tom. We are back. I consider this first gentleman a good friend. You know, I don't think you teach people to be funny. They used to have schools, what they call comedy schools, where people go to learn to be comedians, and they never really worked out. You can kind of learn comedy construction by writing, but I think most people who entertain as professional comedians say things in a funny way, or they say funny things. They are simply born funny and have a funny mind. And Buddy Hackett is one of those. Probably the best at it. Would you welcome Mr. Buddy Hackett?
So Freddie called me this morning, and he said, you probably ate already.
This man is a friend.
It was 10 to 7.
Yeah.
So I said, you're right. And he said, you really don't need to have dinner, dear. I said, no. He said, well, come over tonight. So I said, okay.
You see? Now you gave up your Thanksgiving and you showed up.
I didn't. I'm going, after I leave here, I'm going to Harold Robbins' house.
Oh, the writer?
Yeah, and they're not dressing the bird.
Well, those parties I hear are...
Yeah. And of course, if he did dress the bird, it would be the only thing he ever had that was dressed.
Yeah, wasn't the Betsy his latest?
Yeah, but I don't even know what it is. It's a hollow sound tonight in the crowd.
Well, we have a few less people than we normally do.
Well, it looks full, though.
Well, people are full, but we have a few.
See, when
a couple empty seats.
That's what happens. When people are full, the laughter comes... When they're empty, it comes...
It echoes around. You know, it's funny you bring that up. Because last night on the show, we were trying to figure out where the word, when a turkey applied to a show, came from. And, you know, they say, hey, I went and saw the show, it was a turkey. And the only thing I had ever heard, and it's not true of this audience tonight, don't take this personal, that a lot of Broadway actors had said that very often on Broadway, on Thanksgiving Day, audiences would be, maybe they had eaten too much, they would be a little quieter, and that's where it came around. Do you know? And they'd say it's Turkey Day. I've got to work on Turkey Day. I don't think it's got anything to do
with that.
Oh. Well, it sounds very...
No, turkeys...
Certainly sounds obvious to me.
Turkeys are such dumb birds. They're the dumbest bird there is. A turkey...
They are that.
If it's raining, will look up and hold its mouth open and drown.
That's a dumb bird.
The dumbest bird. They're the dumbest.
Yeah.
They're lucky if they throw up, you know. And then that's the only thing they ever try to... The smarter turkeys try to teach their fledglings, or turklets.
Turklets.
That's the only thing they ever teach them, is how to throw up after a rain.
I didn't know that.
But...
So you think that's why turkey...
It works a lot better if you hit it with a tennis racket. I'm sorry, Fred.
Yes, well...
But I figure you'd let me get one in for the holiday.
Okay, one for the holiday. You got your one in, that's
all right, I ain't gonna say.
That's your limit. That's your limit. This is Thanksgiving.
I'm no more.
You just wouldn't feel right if you couldn't sneak one in somewhere.
Well, last time I was here, I didn't say even one. I just didn't. But I didn't want to forget it.
Okay. You've reminded them now. You have your limit.
Yeah. Well, you know what I used to say in the show, that it's not a bad word. It comes from anterior superior spine.
Yes, no, we don't have to. That's all it is.
That's all it is, right. If a doctor ever says to you, you have contusions and lacerations of the anterior superior spine...
That means...
You get scared. You don't know what you got. But if he says to you, you've got a little glass in your ripper, and that... Then you say, oh, thank you very much.
This all started out, we're talking about a turkey. Hey, let me ask you something. You used to talk about your mother's cooking.
My mother was the worst cook.
Well, I know you said you'd stuff later on for 2 hours. Now, how about Thanksgiving? Did you ever have
We never had turkey on Thanksgiving.
Never?
No, we had chicken. We had chicken, no matter... Anything important was chicken. In fact, if somebody died, we had chicken. If there was a birth, we had chicken. It was a... That's it. She says, I'll make a chicken. But we didn't know that was... We always thought that was her selection, but she couldn't make anything else.
A chicken?
No. Did you ever hear what Shecky Green said about his mother?
No.
He says, Ma, why is the chicken so greasy? She said, because it's not chicken. I take grease and shape it like a chicken. Now, the funny part of it is, Shecky's mother didn't talk that way at all. She spoke beautifully. Just as good as you. I was going to say just as good as me, but that would leave a lot to be wanted.
Yes. So always chicken.
Yeah, chicken. That's all we ever had. My father...
Did you have the sweet potatoes and all pumpkin pie and all that? None of that.
Pumpkin pie? Here's what my mother would say. Pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie was... she would call it trafe. It's not trafe. It would mean forbidden to Jews. She would call it trafe. It's not. You could eat it. It's a vegetable.
Yeah.
But anything that she didn't know about was trafe.
Trafe.
That's it. Yeah, a train from New York to Miami was trafe. Fat, trafe, fat. How do you go then? Uncle Benny's car. If you don't go in Uncle Benny's car, see, in the Bible, when Moses wanted to go to Miami, he went in Uncle Benny's car.
I didn't know that. I missed that. That was
Of course. It's all tradition.
Now, I got to show you something funny. Last time you were on the show, when Buddy comes on, we hardly say more than hello, how are you, thanks for coming, whatever, backstage. Buddy says, what do I talk about tonight? I don't feel funny, or I feel funny, or whatever. And I said, something will happen when we come out there. So last time he was here, we were sitting there during the commercial break saying, and he was just, we're making notes. And he says, and I picked it up, and I had this up in my office. I'm a saver, and I had it in my folder, and I pulled it out. This is the thing from last time you were, from when he was on the show. And he written down, shot a turkey, and that's one of the stories I think you told, right?
Yes.
You called the cat on a roof. You told that story.
Yeah.
About the plumber, elephants you have. But you got a lot of other things there.
Yeah.
Now, can I just pick one of these out of here?
Sure.
By the way, and another reason I want to thank you for coming. You're a ski buff.
Oh, yes.
And for the first time out here, we have got snow up in Northern California.
And I just came back from Denver, Colorado, from Aspen, Colorado.
They finally got snow?
Have we ever got snow? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something.
It was a grim winter.
I was up at Snowmass. You know, the lifts didn't open till today.
Yeah.
But I was there last Saturday, and I was there in a snowstorm. In fact, I told Freddie I was going to bring a picture on, and Sherry forbid me. There was so much snow up there that I got naked in the snow with just tennis shoes and socks and a tennis racket like this. And, I mean, it was... I said to my wife, well, I'm just as covered as I am with shorts. And she said like this, which means you ain't going to show that picture on there.
So you were so joyous that they had the snow, huh?
Oh, yeah. I got out in the snow and took a picture, and I was going to bring it on to show how much snow we have up in Aspen, Colorado.
Not only do they need it for the people who work at ski resorts, but for the skiers, but they also need the moisture in most parts of the country, and that's another good thing.
You know, I told you about my friend Lewis, the guy with the mountain lion last time.
Yeah.
Well, he calls
a mountain lion in his home, right?
He's got a mountain lion and a leopard, and he's got the parrot and the macaw that imitate him, you know, where the parrot goes, the macaw goes, no, the parrot goes, ah, and the macaw goes, hush. And I kept thinking I was trapped in the house. Well, he called me from up there in Aspen today. He says, heck, you wouldn't believe it. There's so much damn snow here, you just love it. And I said, hush. And he thought it was his parent. He said, huh? He said, where am I calling you? He thought I was back in his house in Dallas.
That's funny. Hush. Okay, I'm just going to pull something out here. You're pretty good. You're a good printer, you know that? Yeah. Derby hat. I haven't the slightest idea what derby hat means.
Okay, a lady is walking along Delancey Street, New York, and there's a sign says, we will make you an 8x10 glossy photograph of any old photo you have. She walks in, she says, how much it's costing to make here a 8x10 glossy photograph from what I got here tintype from my husband, what is that? He says, $5. She said, all right, I won't have it. She said, listen, I want to ask you a question. He got on his face here a mole. If he would have lived more, he would have taken off that mole. But now, when you make that picture, could you take off? He says, yes. She said, the doctor was going to charge $15 to take off that mole. What do you charge? He says, nothing, I'll take it off. She says, all right. Now is out of style a derby hat. You see in that picture he's wearing a derby hat? Could you make that picture without a derby hat? He says, yes. How much cost? Nothing's. All right, she said, fair enough. He says, let me ask you a question. How did he wear his hair? She said, what, are you stupid? You'll take off his hat, you'll see.
Okay. Derby hat. And whatever we got left for next time. Now,
Well, wait a minute. This is a good one. You ought to hear that.
Okay, now let me come back. I got to do this first. Then we'll come back and we'll pick up a...
We'll have to do that
Has to do with the... See, I never really wanted to mention because I might be tipping the punchline or something.
Just say that word.
Just say that, okay. When you go out for seafood, Long John Silver's gives you a choice of more than 900 shops coast to coast. And here's one of them.
Ahoy out there! Come on in here. This is Long John Silver's Seafood Shops. We're Long John Silver's crew, and we've got a question for you. How many ways can you get our delicious fish?
Well, boys, at Long John Silver Seafood Shops, we serve them lots of ways folks love them. Except expensive.
Right you are, lass. There's our famous fish and fries. Tender fish fillets wrapped in the crisp golden crust we're famous for.
And fish and more. Fish, fries, coleslaw, and hush puppies. A complete meal. Priced like a snack.
And other seafood dinners like shrimp and clams.
And chicken, too. And little pirates platters, priced from under $1. And the kiddies get free souvenirs. So bring a big appetite, but don't bring a lot of money. At Long John Silver's Seafood Shops.
On this Thanksgiving Day, we're talking Buddy Hackett. We have Dick Van Patten, Kelly Garrett, and Doctor Lendon Smith. This is like request time. This is fun. Okay. You had something here? Just divorce.
Divorce? Get a get.
No, I don't know what that means.
Well, in Yiddish, a get is a divorce.
A get?
Yeah, and people who are Americanized would say, we'll get a get.
We'll get
which means we would say in Yiddish, we get trugen, we get oben a get. That would be in Yiddish, we're going to get a get. We're going to get a divorce. But get a get
I've been God, I know that, but I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. Anyway, there's this couple, and they've been married quite a few years. And she gets up one morning. Incidentally, I want to give credit. Last time I did that elephant joke, and I said I thought I heard it from Myron Cohn. I wasn't sure. But this one I know where I heard.
Yeah.
Larry Best. You know who he is?
Sure. He's a comedian, works mainly
in the Catskill Mountains.
Mountains.
And he has a Cadillac car and a nice apartment, and he has... But if you asked him to come into a Christian area to work...
It feels uncomfortable?
Believe me, he could work anywhere.
Yeah.
But he's not comfortable. Right. And he works up in the Catskills, and he works the one-nighters, club dates. I mean, maybe he's right. We just now are happy with now doing one a night. That's all he's ever done.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so he told this story. She gets up one morning, and she say, I can't stand to look no more in your face. And I don't want it. Do you hear? I don't want it. Don't talk, don't convince, don't tell me loving, holding. He says, who's going to tell you? What do you think? I got with you a picnic? Well, you can't stand to look on me as double back on you, ha ha. So we'll go in court and we'll get a get, and that's it. A divorce, and split it up and forget about it. She said, what are you hollering? Who's holding you? Now they go to court, and the judge, in his wisdom, tries to keep these people together. They've been married a long time. He says, I believe there is mental cruelty on both sides. However, you have 3 children. And he's trying to keep them together, he said. If I gave 2 to one and 1 to another, it wouldn't be a fair division. He says, sure, 1 with 2 and 2 with 1, I would split up. She says, I understand that. What, I think I don't know arithmetic? He says, perhaps you could stay together a while longer and have another child, and then I can give 2 to one and 2 to the other. She says, all right, if he could take for another year, all right, me too. And he said, all right, if she wouldn't make such troubles, all right, I'll stay stick. Judge, we do you the favor. And if it didn't work, we wasted a year, and that's that. He says, just a minute, Your Honor. What'll happen? Instead of be born 1, it'll be born 2, twins, a twilling. It'll be the same thing, 2 with 3 and 3 with 2, and we're back where we started. She says, look on him, that big twin maker. When I'll have to depend on him, I wouldn't have the first 3 neither.
The big twin maker. Oh, that's nice. Okay. You realize when we use up this whole page, you're out of show business. I mean, it's all over.
Well, I still got some 8x10s and a can of makeup.
What appeals to you here?
This was one that used to do in World War II.
Okay.
The guy says, what happened with your sister? He says, well, my sister's in the Army. He says, oh, in the WAC? No, in the regular Army. He said, what do you mean, in the regular Army? How could your sister be in the regular Army? He said, well, you know, she puts her hair up under the hat, and she straps herself down, and she wears men's clothes. He said, so what? At night, you got to take them clothes off, take the hat off. They see the long hair. They'll see the way she's built. They go in the shower together. He says, someone's going to find out. He says, yeah, but who's going to tell?
World War II, right?
Yeah. I got that from Eisenhower.
That was Spike's favorite story.
Then this one is the drunk.
Okay.
The guy walks in and he says, I like to have a drink. Have a drink, please. I want to have a drink for everybody. Have a drink. Bartender, have a drink. Have a drink. It'll be $63.15. I don't have no money. I don't have any money. But let's see for a minute. He takes him outside and punches him and whacks him and hits him. The guy comes back inside. Drinks for the house. None for you. When you drink, you get nasty.
I've forgotten that one. Something?
Oh, yeah. See, this is a good one because this is for guys. Like, I usually give jokes like this to maybe Bob Goulet, you know, because they didn't have to tell clean jokes because they work for the Hughes organization.
Oh, that's right.
And now they have to be careful because they don't even know who they work for.
Right.
So there's a guy, and he's got a lot of projects. He's building apartments. He's doing all this sort of stuff. And he goes out in the field with a psychologist to find out why some men work so much better than others. And they see one guy is laying bricks, and he's going like this. He said, what are you making? What am I making? I'm making $6.73 an hour. That's what I'm making. He says, you know who's making? The guy who owns this job. He's making. He says, he's making on me. He's making on my labor. He makes on the cement I'm using, on the sand that comes in. He's making on the plans. He makes on the architect. He's making. That's the guy who's making. See? They go on to another guy. He's laying like this. What are you making? He says, what am I making? I'm making a church, a place of worship where anyone can come and worship as they want, a place of freedom. And they had to fire him because he's supposed to be making a garage.
You're nuts. I remember a long time ago when I haven't heard you talk about this for a long time, and I don't know how long it takes, or if you even want to do it. When we went to Japan once.
With Jack Parr?
With Jack Parr.
It's the only time I ever was there.
Yeah. You told a hysterical story about going to a sumo wrestling demo. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure.
Going into the hotel and...
All right, just the way you and I are sitting here.
Right.
Well, first, let me tell you this. Sometimes when I do it in a saloon, the first time I did it, of course, I didn't know this because it was so long ago. Right. But later on, I always do a thing. When I always say that, I always complain on stage that I'm not sexually fulfilled, that I'm up there working and my wife is home and I haven't seen her for a while, and when I don't have this, when this frustration hits me, I get a pain over the eye, which makes me say, whoa, whoa. And I asked the doctor, why does it hurt over the eye from no sex? He says, the subconscious is embarrassed to put the pain where it should go. Because if you walk around rubbing your forehead, nobody will say anything. So, now, say I've been in a saloon and I've done that and I talk about whoa, and all like that, you know? Or I'll look down and I'll see a woman who's gifted, and I'll ask her to stand up and show her. And I don't do the things like Rickles does, you know. He picks on the people. But hey, did you see that show he did where he was in the nut house? Where they put him in the nut house? His own television show, Sharky?
No.
It was so wonderful.
I missed that.
That I wonder why they can't do a few more scripts like that, because he'd be the hit of the world. Was he dynamite. It's great. I just wanted to say that for a minute before I give him one. I have a friend, Arnie Chernoff, weighs 640 pounds. Now he's down to 420. He's on the liquid protein, which you give a little spread stuff. But his mother's a doctor, and she's got him on it. He says to me, Hack, I'm 420. You wouldn't recognize me.
420?
I said, sure, you got a little scar by your ear over there. Yeah, I think I told you about him later. He's the kind who sat ringside at the Sahara one night, and Rickles walked out and looked at him, and he said, what do you do? And Chernoff said, I'm a jockey. What do you do?
That's got to cut you.
Yeah. Anyway, when I just talk nice to the people and all, so now say I've set up this thing, now I tell about when I went with Jack Parr to Japan. And it's just like we're sitting here. He says, you ever been to Tokyo? You ever been to Tokyo? And I said, no. He says, Hugh Downs and I were there last year. And he did this. Whenever he thought he was doing something naughty, he would rock. He said, we were there last year. We went naked in the bath. We went naked in the bath. He said, men and women go naked in the bath in Japan. Yes, they do. They really do. So I said, well, we used to do it in Brooklyn without water. So now he says, well, Hugh Downs and I, we wouldn't go naked in the bath. We wore our jockey shorts. So I said, well, if I go there, I'll go naked in the bath. He said, you want to go? We're going to go. We're going to go. I said, okay, I'll go. Now, as a couple months pass, and we go to Tokyo. And we're going to the bath, and it's up on the 5th floor. And we're at the elevator going to the 5th floor. Now, I forgot that I sat with him, so I'm going to go naked. What's the difference to me? I want to get the laugh for the moment. He says, you're not going to get naked in the bath? I said, what? He said, you said you wouldn't get naked in the bath. Promise you won't get naked in the bath. Say you won't get naked in the bath. I said, okay, I won't get naked in the bath. I got naked in the elevator. I mean, what do I care? I don't know anybody in Japan. I figure you get in the elevator, you go up to the 5th floor, the door opens, you jump in the water, right? I'm naked, he's crying. The door opened, I stepped out. I'm in the lobby, it didn't go up. And there's a couple hundred Japanese go, I said, you don't have to bow. If you can't see from where you are, forget about it. And they thought I was a Buddha. And they put incense in my navel and lit it. And I said, And then we went to Hakone. Hakone is 85 miles from Tokyo. And that's where they go up there, they play golf up there, and they have the sumo school. And he's going to film the sumo wrestlers. You know, they're, 7 feet tall? Huge. 600 pounds? Huge. Monsters. Walking billboards. Now he says to me, you want to have some fun? I says, yeah. He says, look, you wrestle with a sumo, and I'll film it. I said, let's hear the part about the fun. I mean, a guy weighs 600 pounds, I weigh 220. He said, well, I got the camera. I said, why don't I hold the camera? And you stick feathers in your belt and fly up over the volcano and set them on fire and say, hi, I'm a fire duck, and I'll hold the camera. So he says, are you afraid? I said, no. I was afraid. I'm going to tell him I'm afraid. So they dressed me in a sumo outfit, which is a little silk cloth, covers your hair, and a silk band around the waist. Then a thick cord, hard fibrous rope between your legs and up in the back and the right up. And when they tighten that rope, you'll fight anybody. I mean, first, you tell a guy, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't, hey, tighten it up, I'll rip his nose off. Then I see that the other guy, they dressing him, and he go, I tell myself, don't panic, Hack. You're small, but you're fast. Get out there quick, grab his rope and loosen it, and you got him. And I ran out quick, and I grabbed his rope. And he said, whoa. And he picked me up and he threw me out of the ring. But first he kissed me goodbye. And he said sayonara.
Sayonara.
Now, for you people who haven't seen me in Las Vegas, I don't do that routine anymore because it's not funny enough.
Ah. Oh, you're
Yeah.
crazy. Hey, I can't tell you, seriously. I know you get self-conscious when I pay you a compliment, but thanks for coming in on Thanksgiving. I know you have to leave early to go to Harold Robbins for Thanksgiving dinner.
Harold and Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they're all naked over there.
Well, you just tighten up the rope a little bit for you. Thanks for coming.
I had such a good time.
You were sensational
Listen,
tonight.
folks, I'm glad you digested in the middle, and you're all terrific. God bless you.
Thank you.
Have a good year.
You want to start something?
Darling, you want to start something.
You want to start something? Start using Rayovac heavy-duty supercells. Better than ordinary batteries, because the long life formula keeps going long after ordinary batteries are dead. Can last more than 2 times longer. The life chart proves it. So if you want to start something, start using Rayovac heavy-duty supercell.
Get something started with Rayovac.
For over 60 years, the Frankfurter has been drowned, incinerated, but never really fulfilled until the Presto hot dog or electric hot dog cooker cooks 1 to 5 hot dogs from the inside out in just 60 seconds.
No, that's a hot dog.
The 60-second answer to a 60-year-old problem, the hot dogger from Presto. Innovation to make it first. Quality that makes it last.
My next guest, I'm sure you all know. He's a fine actor who is star of the popular TV series 8 is Enough, which is on Wednesday evenings, and is also the new Mel Brooks movie called High Anxiety, which is going to be released the Christmas Day, December 25th. Would you welcome Dick Van Patten? I saw you just the other night playing tennis.
Everybody saw that.
Yeah, on the
Thank goodness I
Celebrity
won.
Challenge of the Sexes against no less than Farrah Fawcett Majors.
Yeah.
And you won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, John, it was funny. When they picked me to play her, in my heart, I thought I could beat her quite easily. I didn't think it was much of a match. And the night when I went to bed the night before, I never told anybody this, but I'm laying in bed, and since I was a kid, I was always an actor. I was always taught to entertain and make a good show of everything. So I'm thinking in bed, I'm thinking, gee, it's going to be boring. I'm going to beat her so easily that it's going to be uninteresting. I'm thinking, do you think maybe I should just hit I'm thinking all this to myself. Maybe I should just hit everything right to her, but win, but, you know, make it interesting for the crowd. So I'm thinking of all these things. Now I get out there, in the first game, she's... I'm running back.
Side to side.
She had
the doubles,
right.
alley.
I was hitting these low shots, and she loved that because she has that two-handed backhand, and she was just crossing the court. So I realized, I'm thinking to myself, gee, I'm going to get beat.
I saw you change your strategy.
I did.
Right?
My son told me what to do after the third game.
You start throwing up little lobs and dinks.
Yeah.
And
Because he said, he came over to me, he said, you're going to get beat. And I said, I know, what should I do? So he said, no, I didn't want to get beat by her. That would be embarrassing. Also, it makes, like, people that I play tennis with socially, the people that I beat, they think, oh, he's pretty good, he beats me. But then if they see me get beat, they think, oh, gosh, I'm no good. You know, it makes them feel terrible.
Who wants to play
Right,
with it? Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, my son said, hit the balls higher. She doesn't like that. She can't cross the court with that high ball. And he was right. It started to work, and then everything started to go my way, and I was much happier.
You were running fast, though.
Yeah, but it's distracting to play her. She's so pretty.
Both your sons are fine tennis players, because I remember playing with Vincent in one of the very first times. I had just been playing tennis maybe 6 months to 8 months, and we teamed up at La Costa, and he was my partner down there.
That's nice.
And he is a super tennis player.
Very good. Both my sons, Nels and Vincent, are great players, yeah.
But when you started throwing up those dink shots and so forth, there's an old saying in tennis, show me a dinker and I'll show you a room full of trophies. That's true, because you drive your opponents mad.
Yeah, it helps.
I was watching a show the other night, and television is fascinating because you've been an actor all your life, and a successful actor.
Oh, thanks.
But now all of a sudden your name is really recognized because of television and the success of that show.
The show, yeah, 8 is Enough.
I remember talking to Phil Silvers once.
Yeah.
And Phil, you know, who was a vaudeville star for years in Pop Banana and all those shows, never got that kind of recognition. And then the Bilko show went on. And within 2 weeks, he couldn't walk down the street without being recognized. He said, I spent 40 years, you know, as a headliner. And then television, and that...
Yeah, funny thing about Phil Silvers, though, I'm one of the few people that saw Phil in burlesque. The reason being was that when I was a kid, we used to rehearse, since I was 7 years old, I was in the theater, and we used to rehearse at the old, there was this one play I was in, we rehearsed at the Fulton Theater, which has now been changed to the Helen Hayes. But I always call theaters by their old names. I can never change. To me, that'll always be the Fulton Theater. Now, the Fulton Theater is in New York City, and it was on 46th Street, and it backed up to the old Gaiety Burlesque Theater. Now, I was about 9 years old, but what happened, when I used to go, while they were rehearsing, I used to explore around the theaters and everything, you know, the way kids will. And up in the back of the Fulton Theater, up on the second balcony, there was a door that opened up, and I opened it up, and there was a fire escape, and it was alongside of the fire escape of the Gaiety Theater. So I climbed over, and it was in the summer, so they had the fire door of the Gaiety Theater open. And here I was a little kid, I used to watch all these burlesque shows at the Gaiety Theater. And Phil Silvers was the comic, as Robert Alder and all those guys, you know. So I am one of the few people.
Did you have an indication of then, even at that early age, that, hey, I'd like to be up there on that stage sometime and do that? That's the way it always shows in the movie. It shows the kid sneaking in the vaudeville and say, someday I'm going to be up there.
Yeah.
But at that time, maybe it was too early to even...
I know.
To know at an early age.
Yeah, it always looked attractive to me.
Let me do this and we'll come back.
Sure.
Here's Shirley Jones with a lightweight that packs a lot of power from Sunbeam.
When you're on the road, you appreciate the lighter things in life, like the swing air blower dryer from Sunbeam. It's super small, so it's lightweight and has a handle that folds up to fit almost anywhere.
Yet it has 1,000 watts of drying power. Great for the family.
Swing air blower dryer. The born traveler. Or if you want even more power, get the Odyssey 1200 blower styler from Sunbeam. I really love their quality.
A guy I know tells me this new Sunbeam adjustable groomer razor is the greatest shaver ever made. Well, I say, so what? I'm a blade man. He says, try it and you won't be. He's right.
Here's how Sunbeam's new groomer razor works. 12 stainless steel blades cut at 8,000 strokes a minute through the thinnest shaving head you can get. Stands whiskers up and shears them off, at or below the skin line.
You a blade guy? Try this. It may be the last time you use a blade.
We're back, and we're talking with Dick Van Patten. We were discussing your early days. What was the first role you ever played?
Oh, the first...
How old were you?
Well, I was 7 years old, 1935.
7?
Yeah.
School play, you mean?
Oh, no. This was on Broadway, yeah. It was a play called Tapestry in Gray at the Schubert Theater, and I played Melvin Douglas's son.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I've never seen him again since then.
Maybe he didn't like 7-year-old kids.
I don't know. I mean, you would think of all the years I've been working there, we would have hooked up again, because almost everybody you've ever worked with, you work with again sometime. And I never saw him in person or ever again. But
was that a successful play?
No, it was a big flop. It ran 4 weeks, but I'll tell you, it was interesting. It was one of the first plays that did this. You know, usually you had a play where the curtain came up and there was the set and this, but this was different. Now they've done it a lot, but this was the first one of its kind. There was a big set, and there was a living room here, and a kitchen here, and a doctor's office here, and an upstairs bedroom here. And then there was no curtain, and when the play would start, the light would go onto the scene, you know, like the living room. Then the light, the next scene would go to the bedroom, and like that.
That was
an
innovation then, I thought.
It was like very artistic and everything, but it didn't go over.
Didn't help at all.
No, it didn't help the play.
What is the worst turkey? We were talking about turkeys you've ever been in.
The worst one was a play called The Woman Brown. It was 1941. This is sort of boring for people, they don't remember, but the star was Francisca Gall. She had just done a picture with Frederick March called The Frontiersman in Hollywood, and they made her sort of a big movie star. She was from Austria. And we did this play. It was an English courtroom drama, and about where this boy, 11-year-old boy, is accused of poisoning his mother with cocoa. So it's very important that we drink this cocoa on the here's the silliest thing. So we're drinking this cocoa on the stage. Well, anyway, what happened was, before we opened up at the Biltmore Theater in New York, we went on the road first. You go out for 3 or 4 weeks to Philadelphia and to New Haven and everything. Now, when we came in from New Haven, what they did was, on the set, they've got these cups, you know, but the stagehands forgot, and they wired the cups to the hook so that when they moved the scenery, the cups wouldn't fall off, but they forgot to unwire them.
Because you had to use them as working props.
Right. Now, it's very important that we drink this cocoa on the stage. It's the whole plot of the play. So I'm sitting on the stage with I had to talk with an English accent. I says, Mummy, would you like to have some cocoa? And she says, yes, Peter, go get me some cocoa. So she says, go get the cups. So I said, all right, Mummy. So I get up from the table. I'm only 11 years old. So I go up to the table, and there's the cupboard there, and I go to get the cups, and they won't come off because they're wired to the hooks, and I'm pulling and I'm yanking and everything. So she's saying, what is taking so long, Peter? So I said, I'm having trouble, Mummy, come help me. So she comes over. Now the two of us are tugging on these cups. We can't get them off the hooks because they're wired there. There's no way to get them off. Well, what she did, she must have thought that she was being very clever, you know, and very... She said, don't worry, Peter, let's sit down, let's have our cocoa. And I'm thinking, what's she going to have? How are we going to have the cocoa? So we sit down at the table. Now, what there was on the table were these flat saucers that, you know, you put the cups on.
Don't tell me.
So she tries to act very nonchalant, like this is the normal thing to do. She pours the cocoa into these flat saucers, and the two of us are sitting there drinking and it's all dribbling down our thing. The audience, I mean, they were snickering and everything, and it just looked ridiculous. The show opened and closed in one night. But
the people who saw that will never forget it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But there's something funny. At the time, it's horrendous. You can't imagine the fright you have in those type of situations. I remember once I did Tunnel of Love. I remember the...
oh, very well. Oh, what a part for you.
Yeah, and it was wonderful. And there was a scene where I had to shave off a mustache, which, of course, was a phony mustache. And you kind of turned away from the audience, and they had an electric razor. And you're supposed to turn it on. And as you turned to the audience, you'd hear the razor turn, you know, would come on. And you would peel the mustache off and then turn around, and you'd be clean shaven.
Yeah.
So I turned the razor on, and the razor does not start. There's just nothing, and there's no sound. And you know what I did?
What?
I stood there going,
Oh, that's great.
I think we got away with it. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't know what are you going to do? And I turned around, and nobody seemed to notice the difference, but for a moment, Panic City.
Yeah.
One more interruption, we'll be right back.
I thought about for years.
Hi, I'm Angie. And when I'm in my red mood, feeling warm and romantic, I don't want an ordinary wine. I want Martini and Rossi Red on the rocks, deep, luscious. It's a wine, but with a special taste all its own. It's perfect at parties, before dinner, anytime. So when I'm in a red mood, I say yes.
To Martini Rossi on the rocks, say yes.
Yeah.
Looks like the perfect match.
Gee, someone getting married?
No, Sprout. The giant is matching his best tender young broccoli with his rich, tangy cheese sauce. He freezes them together in a pouch while the flavor's still fresh. And since the broccoli cooks in cheese sauce, not in water, you don't lose a bit of the flavor. Took the giant to see that it was a perfect match.
Well, guess that makes him best man. Ho, ho, ho.
Green Giant.
Thank you, Tom. We are back. We were talking about tennis a while ago, but I understand you also, you visit the track occasionally. Is that for exercise, or you just...
No, I've been a horse player ever since I was a kid.
And when horse players are horse players, they are horse players, right?
Yeah, I never used to talk about it. But, you know, it's funny. All my life as a kid, people say, you're going to regret playing the horses. All horse players die broke. Well, I've never regretted it. I've always had fun. I love it. I really do.
Yeah.
And a lot of exciting things have happened to me down there that, you know, that makes life interesting. And
Do you really handicap? Are you where you go through all of
Yeah,
those,
I think
all
that's
of
more
that?
interesting. You know, I'll work 4 or 5 hours at night before I go out there. To no avail sometimes, but I mean, at least if you do pick a winner, it makes it more exciting. Think, oh, I did it myself, you know? So that makes it better.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I remember once when I was 18, gee, I was working in the theater at night, and I was going to the races every day. And I was in a bad streak, and my cousin and I, we were going to Jamaica racetrack then. Jamaica no longer exists. And in those days, there weren't 9 races the way there are today. There were only 7 at Jamaica. And at Aqueduct and Belmont, there used to be 8 races because they had a steeplechase. But Jamaica had no steeplechase, so there were 7 races. So if we went broke, my cousin and I, which was almost every day, I was only a kid, so don't get me wrong. But what we used to do is outside of Jamaica racetrack, after the races were over, people used to wait on this long line for the bus to the subway, you know? And it was 10 cents to the subway, but there was a long line. They would have to wait like 45 minutes, an hour, and the buses would come on, they would fill up, and they would go to the subway. So when we used to go broke, to get money to get there the next day, we would get in my convertible. I had a convertible, and I would pull up along the bus line. I would say, car to the subway, half a dollar, half a dollar. And my cousin would walk alongside, and people would love to get off the line at the end of the line and get in a nice car and go, because it's always 10 minutes to the subway, and we would take 5 people, see? I would take 2 in the front and 3 in the back, and I would shoot them to the subway, and my cousin would stay there, and while I was doing that, he would line up another next five, so when I came back, he had 5 people waiting. Now, he only had time for 3 trips, because by the 3rd trip, everybody was gone from the racetrack, so nobody wanted to do it. So I'd go up for the 2nd trip. Now, on the 3rd trip, when I'd come back for the last trip to the subway, would get 5 people in, but my cousin, I never told this story to anybody, it's so funny. My cousin used to get in the trunk of my car, see, because, in other words, we'd get that extra $50 because we'd get the 5 people in the car, and he used to get in the trunk, and he'd hold the trunk down like this, and I would shoot off to the subway. Now, we do this one day, I'm driving, and I stop for a light, and I'm talking to the guy next to me, you know, he's saying how much he lost and everything. Now, the light turns green, and I don't see it right away, you know? So the guy in back of me, while I'm talking, goes, honk, honk, honk. With that, my cousin opens up the trunk and says, shut up! Well, I could see the man's face through the mirror. He turned white. He couldn't believe his eyes. He almost had a heart attack. I mean, just figure that. If you're there in a car and all of a sudden the guy opens up and says,
you want to take that situation and work it into a show. Those are the kind of things that are great things you can work into a show.
Right.
So who would believe it, you say? That's funny. We'll be back. Kelly Garrett's with us, Dr. Lendon Smith.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 strong reasons for using the one and only patented Fabinail, the new non-yellowing protective nail hardener from Revlon. Fabinail protects nails against problems of splitting, peeling, chipping. It's actually detergent resistant and so hard-working, Revlon guarantees your money back if you're not satisfied. Wear Fabinail by Revlon and discover how beautiful tough can be.
Everybody has somebody, somewhere. And now's the time to see them with United Airlines Freedom Fare.
There's no one in this land who has so much to live as you, my friend. And there's no one in this land who has so much to give as we do, my friend.
Bringing more people to people. We built the largest airline in the free world around you.
Kelly Garrett has been with us before. She is a very lovely, talented singer. Will be appearing at the Turtle Creek Country Club in San Antonio, Texas on December 1st and the 2nd. Would you welcome, please, Miss Kelly Garrett?
Yeah.
I remember when I told you that I'd try in every way to hug you and kiss you and love you and keep you to my dying day. You just laughed, said you found somebody new. You didn't need all the things I could do. Now you found out that your new love isn't true like she should be. You say that you're gonna forget her and you're gonna come back to me. Things have changed. I found me somebody new, someone to make me forget about you. I'm telling you. Many days I tried to call you, many nights I stayed alone. Oh, everyone knew that I loved you, but you had a love of your own. Now that she's gone, think you can come back to me. Hey, I'm not the same fool that I used to be. You're gonna see. It's too late to say I'm sorry, too late to say I'm mine. I have found myself a new love, and I'm gonna make him mine. It's too late. It's too late. Too late to say I'm sorry. Too late to say you're mine. I have found myself a new love, and I'm gonna make him mine. It's too late. Hey, it's too late. Say you're mine. Hey, say you're mine. Lord, say you're mine. Baby, it's too late. Maybe this time I'll be lucky. Maybe this time he'll stay. Maybe this time for the first time, love won't hurry away. He will hold me fast. I'll be home at last. Not a loser anymore, like the last time and the time before. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loved me. Lady peaceful, lady happy, that's what I long to be. All the odds are in my favor. Something's bound, it's bound to begin. It's gonna happen sometime. Maybe this time I'll win. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loved me. Lady peaceful, lady happy, that's what I long to be. All the odds are in my favor. Something's bound, it's bound to begin. It's gonna happen sometime. Maybe this time I'll win.
Thank you, Kelly. Now, 9 Lives brings you America's favorite finicky cat, and here's Morris.
9 Lives presents Morris.
Look at that pussycat.
Reminds me of Louie from the old neighborhood. Sounds like him, too.
Getting hungry?
I'll go watch the baboons.
Don't be finicky. There's 9 lives.
Well, if you've seen one baboon.
Tuna and egg, liver.
9 Lives liver.
9 Lives, nutritious foods cats really like, even Morris.
You bring out the animal in me, 9 Lives. Wow.
Hi, is Barbara ready?
I think you have time for a bite.
Your kitchen, it's thick and rich.
Doesn't your mom buy you Heinz?
No, why?
Just taste it.
Anticipation. Anticipation is making me wait.
Sorry you had to wait.
I'm not.
Thick, rich Heinz ketchup. The taste that's worth the wait.
My next guest is a frequent visitor to our show, and the author of such books as New Wives' Tales on Improving Your Child's Behavior Chemistry. Would you welcome baby doctor, Dr. Lendon Smith? It was nice to see you. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
I found out something. My wife and I were in Mexico, and the reason they have great teeth is they mix the limestone with their tortillas. And
is that real?
Yeah, it's a very noisy kind of tortillas, but maybe we could start this, and it might be better than some of the toothpaste that we're having.
You know, I had an aunt, a very old aunt, years ago, who used to brush her teeth with Bon Ami. And never had a cavity at all?
No teeth. No.
But our gums were in great shape. Is the holiday season a bad time for parents with children? I mean, do kids get more
because
more
they're home
emotional
from
problems?
school, yeah.
Home from school, the emotional problems of the holidays with Christmas coming up.
Oh, sure. And
all
they
of that.
won't go to sleep, and they're, go to sleep. I am.
Yes.
They do have troubles, and I think I can remember my mother saying, you know, when does school start again? You know, just to get us back into school again.
Yes.
There's something sort of, it's like a babysitting type of idea, the school is, and and the teachers, you know they don't have the kids at night, so they're a little happier with with their charges. But I've been finding that there are many things that parents sort of bring on themselves. I fly a lot, and of course I see kids eating airline food, and then they start to fly through the cabin themselves. And there seems to be a great deal of truth to the fact that what we do eat does determine some of our behavior. Yeah. And I was forced to eat a part of a chocolate eclair this afternoon on the plane.
And you actually?
I'm forced to eat this thing, and I almost slipped away. If it weren't for my wife who held me together, I wouldn't have been here tonight.
I understand we're going to discuss a subject that people usually kind of laugh at when you first mention it, but it's a serious subject, and a lot of parents have children who are bedwetters. In fact, I think Mike Landon did a television show about that, and it was quite well received because he had that problem as a young.
My father,
it bothers parents, doesn't it? And kids are embarrassed.
My father was a doctor and a good pediatrician and well respected. People look at me and they say, "Huh, your dad. Now there was a real doctor." But Dad had two boys, and one of the boys wet the bed. Now how can I go through this without giving this away? But he didn't know what to do with the son who wet the bed. But I think this is the thing. My mother didn't get upset with the bedwetter. And I think when she asked Dad, what about bedwetting? He said, oh, all kids wet the bed till they're 13. You know, he didn't know what to tell her. So she thought that she thought there was something wrong with my brother who was dry at age 5. So there are many remedies. There must be about 20 or 23 remedies.
They figure out what it is. Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it a combination of both?
It's often one or the other, and it's often a mixture. And what we worry about, of course, is somebody wets the bed who may have a real physical problem with his kidneys or his plumbing in some such way that he
You should not embarrass children, obviously, or chastise them because it is it's an automatic function, I assume.
The definition is supposed to be if it's a boy after age 5, a girl after age 4 should be dry fairly consistently at night. And if they're wet 2 or 3 times a week after age 5, then they're considered. But 15% of boys, 8% of girls, without it being any organic problem or diabetes or an infection. And there are some remedies that seem to work. They've got some medicine that's supposed to keep the child from sleeping too soundly, so he's like this maybe, and then he remembers there was an old remedy about giving them raisins at bedtime. They were supposed to turn to grapes during the night, you know, kind of soak up the fluid, but that didn't work too well because it's in a different part of the body.
We've made a few medical advances since then.
Yes, we hope so, but I've found some things, and others seem to corroborate this sort of thing. I'd like to, if I may.
Somebody said that you were going to illustrate.
Yes, an illustrated lecture.
Well,
yes,
we haven't had an illustrated lecture on the show.
I would like to be the medical professor. And
may I join you, or do you want to stay here?
Well, let's stay right there. I'll.
Thanks, Doc.
I will. I will draw a picture of the nervous system. Here is the brain, cerebellum, spinal cord. Here's a nose and an eyeball, just for a reference point. Now, the part of the brain up here, the cortex, the part you're all supposed to be using now, is the receptive part, the perceptive part that's supposed to get messages from the rest of the body. And if something important is going on in the body, why, you hear about this. And this is why that we're connected up. The spinal cord brings messages up to this and sends messages back down. And I suppose this is why we don't eat our foot, because you would notice it. Now, this is what's supposed to be happening when bedwetting. Say it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. The bladder is filling up, and these children often can't hold more than 2 or 3 ounces in their bladder. Now, the message from the bladder goes to the spinal cord, and it says, hello, spinal cord, this is bladder. We've got this load here. What do we do? The bladder's not very bright. Now, the spinal cord has no social obligation. It is just there to send messages up and messages down. So the spinal cord tries to get his message clear up here, the social part of the brain. So this perceptive part of the brain can send a message over to the motor part to send a message back down to the legs to get this kid up to go to the bathroom. So, now if this part of the brain isn't working very well, just gone, sleep, you know, down, just in, So the spinal cord says, brain, we've got this load here. What do we do? And the brain doesn't respond. And the bladder, in the meantime, stretching. Spinal cord, do something. And so these messages are going back and forth, and that's trying to get through. Finally, the spinal cord can't stand this kind of overload, and it says to the bladder, dump it. Now, knowing this neurobiophysiology of the brain, it's quite obvious that what you have to do is to allow the bladder to stretch a little bit. There are exercises, and people sometimes reward the children for going longer and longer during the day, so that, and then they reward them and measure the ounces, and that sometimes works. We've also found that sometimes these bladders are small, have a small capacity because they don't have enough magnesium. Now here again, we're back to the dolomite again. Dolomite or limestone has some magnesium in it. It's incredible. Well, a little bit of magnesium will allow the bladder to stretch. Sometimes it works overnight. The other part of this, the brain not being perceptive, also indicates that the brain isn't awake enough, and sometimes this has something to do with low blood sugar. Yeah. So giving the kid some peanuts or cheese or meat or fish at bedtime, that he doesn't sleep so soundly. Yeah.
That's really very interesting.
Wake the kid up right now and give him a gob of old-fashioned peanut butter, a couple of limestone tablets, and have him sleep on chicken wire.
That would...
have sawdust underneath it. Well,
that was very good.
Sometimes works.
I didn't know you did chalk talks, but you do them very well.
That's the kind of stuff we're doing in medical school.
Now, can you do a bunny rabbit for us now? No, that's good, and it's so there are a lot of things involved.
I've had people tell me, well, I've been trying the peanut butter at bedtime, and it doesn't work. Last night, we ran out of peanut butter, and the child did not wet the bed. And we have an answer for that. That means the kid's allergic to peanuts, you see. So we say, stop the peanuts.
Right.
It's very simple. We have to listen to patients. If a mother says, if I give the child milk at bedtime and he wets the bed, and I don't give milk at bedtime and he doesn't wet the bed, then we come back, why don't you stop giving him milk? That's good.
So it might be a certain...
That's science.
It might be a certain liquid, a certain food,
anything.
anything.
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's like the bladder is sneezing in some cases. It just can't hold it, you know. So there are some answers, and I wish my father had known this. It would have been less embarrassing for...
I'm glad you shared this with us. Thank you. We'll take a short break. We're coming right back. It is always fascinating having you on the show. I mean that, because you come up and with something like this, it may be of help to people who are watching, and you do it in the most interesting, entertaining way.
Thank you. I wish it would work at home.
But that's always true, right?
Yes.
The doctor goes to another doctor at home.
Right.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Dick, I hope you come back, really.
Thanks, John.
You're
I really
absolutely
enjoyed
super
it
on
very
the show
much.
tonight. My thanks to Buddy Hackett and Kelly Garrett. Tomorrow night we have Carl Malden with us, David Steinberg, Ray Johnson, and from the Metropolitan Opera Company, Miss Marilyn Horn. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you tomorrow.